Good afternoon, everybody. It is Tuesday. This is Chat with CHAP, and I am your host, Ginger Wade. I'm glad to be with you here today. We have a fun little booklet we're going to go through here today. That's called 9 Approaches to Homeschooling. It was actually put together by HSLDA. If you're familiar with HSLDA, it's the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. And they were at our convention. I think they're probably at all the state conventions, and they are out there to support homeschoolers, not only in the actual homeschooling, but also in the legal part of homeschooling, because over the years there has been a lot of need for legal support in the homeschooling communities, and maybe some of you are unaware of that. Years and years ago, when it was not legal to homeschool, or it was very brand new concept, it was dangerous. It was downright dangerous to homeschool. So the Homeschool Legal Defense Association was created by Mike Ferris, and got all started supporting homeschoolers and the parents' legal right to homeschool. So anyway, they put together this great little booklet. It says 9 approaches to homeschooling, and that's like styles, like different ways that you want to run your homeschool or lead it as the supervisor. So I'm just literally going to go through this book because it's great. It's packed full of information. I'll share with you some thoughts if I've experienced any of the styles, how I've approached it, and what it is that I do. But if people are asking you, how do I homeschool, or what is it, how is it that homeschooling is supposed to work? Typically people do one of these approaches. I'll just list them off for you right now. Traditional, box curriculum, classical, Charlotte Mason, Montessori, Waldorf, unit study, delight directed, and mixed or eclectic. So we're going to go through all those page by page. And then there's some links here to the HSLDA website for further information, and I'll share those with you as I get through each different type. So this is a handy little book. So let's start with traditional. Also called textbook. So just the word that you can think of, textbook, you think of public school, what those of us who went to public school learned with, those little big books that we read, little dry information, but also known as school at home. So you're taking your kids out of public school and you're going to do exactly what was done in the public school in your house. You got the desk, you got the textbooks, you got the whole thing. The parent is teaching to the child just the way that you would lecture up front, or where you would do in a public school situation. It's set up as a classroom. You have a specific room. It looks like a classroom. The decorations are classroom. And you're following grade level. So it's like, okay, you are 10 years old. You are in 5th grade. We're doing 5th grade work. If any of you have been watching me for a long amount of time, you probably know what I think about traditional. But it says a schedule too. They have a schedule. It's routine. Schedule similar to traditional schools. The days that you do would be similar. The hours that you hold would be similar. So really pretty much be doing public school at home. So if this sounds like something, this is probably what everyone thinks homeschooling needs to be who hasn't been in the homeschooling community. You just think, oh, I know public school. This is what I need to do at home. This is what I'm going to do. Well, education does not need to be that. But anyway, if that is a good fit for you, if you like that, or if you're brand new and you're not quite comfortable with approaching it a different way, check it out. hslda.org/traditional. We'll give videos, resources, links, and more on how to do traditional style homeschooling. The next one is box curriculum. It's called box curriculum learning, or the complete package. You get the whole thing, comes to your house in a big old box. All the subjects, all the things. So it's already assembled for you. They've picked all the books out for you. There's a schedule for you. You open it up, there's a schedule. It tells you what to do, tells you when to do it, has it all laid out for you. You don't have to do any planning or research other than choosing the box curriculum that you want. So typically it will cover the whole curriculum, covers all the subjects, and it's typically for a grade level. Sometimes Sunlight can be a box curriculum too. I pick and choose from them, so I actually have never used their complete box. But I've used Sunlight History, and it does have the scheduling and all that, but they do encourage you to do it however you want. So you can leave things out or move things around the way you want to, and I have used it in a flexible way. Personally, they do it by grade level or age. They definitely have a progression in what they do from year to year. However, that being said, I have used, say, Sunlight for multiple ages. For history. So if I'm reading American history, everyone's getting American history and everyone's sitting in on it, no matter what grade level it is. So I have done junior high readers and had first and second grade kids listening in on it because it's good for them too. It's helpful for their vocabulary and they pick up more than you realize. So anyway, you don't have to use it just for a particular grade level on history and science and things like that. But anyway, that's a box curriculum. It's planned for you. You follow, it's all planned out. It's got the 36 weeks, 180 days. Like Sunlight gives you a 4-day plan or a 5-day plan. Other boxes might do the same thing. Is there a schedule? There's a routine and a schedule. It's set up by the publisher, not by you, for daily and weekly goals. There's typically tests, drills, guided plans provided by the publisher. Now, like I said, with Sunlight, they suggested that you don't have to do everything or make it work for you. Could be that other box curriculums do that, but I'm not sure. So if you would like more information on box curriculum, go to hslda.org/box-curriculum, and they'll give you some suggestions there. Suggestions there on how to go about doing a box curriculum. Box curriculums are really handy when you're just coming into homeschooling and you're overwhelmed because there's tons of stuff out there, and there really is. And when you're just coming out of public school and you're not familiar with learning in any other way. Like I said, I was in public school and it's taken me years to get out of that mindset of thinking. So it's a good first step. You don't have to feel overwhelmed about getting started. It's all there for you. You can feel comfortable with it. It's a really great stepping stone when you're coming out of public school or just getting started into homeschooling. The next one we'll talk about here is classical homeschooling. So what is classical? You guys probably have heard that word numerous places. There's Classical Connections, which is a co-op that's across the nation. But classical education is an ancient 3-part process of training the mind called the trivium. So in the early years, it's called the grammar stage. You're absorbing facts, lots of memorization, rote memorization. You have lists and you memorize them. Like I use a elementary curriculum for grammar called First Language Lessons. Very classical. Lists of prepositions. You are aboard, about, above, across. You're going along. I, me, my. Oh, there's lists for everything, and you're chanting and you're learning it. That's a more classical, rote, memorizing it in your brain type thing. The Middle Ages would call the dialectic stage. That's when you're learning to think and process. The high school or rhetoric age is learning to express thoughts. So classical is good when you're teaching your kids to think and process. It's very good that way. How does it work? You're studying classical history, great books, Western philosophy, Latin, science, math, fine arts. Tends to be, highly academic. Latin big in there, and just like this full study of things like the fine arts and things like that. Typically you have a disciplined routine. Classical education is not a seat of your pants kind of a thing. You have this routine that you set up and you work through. There's lots of memorization, especially for the little ones. You're really memorizing a lot early on, a lot of reading, a lot of repetition. Socratic discussion, which is question and discussion-based approach to examining ideas and cultivating thinking. So where you might ask a question, someone else would ask a question, you go back and forth asking questions or answering each other's questions. So it's just getting everyone into think and process mode, debate, this side of thinking. You support your thoughts, you want to bring up and work through ideas with other people through question and debate. I would say definitely like debate clubs, that type of thing would be classical learning type stuff. There's classical academic press out there. I'm sure these are ideas that they have on their resources list. So hslda.org/classical charlotte.org/classical is where you can find more information about the classical method. And like I said, I do use some classical in what I'm doing. You guys, till I'm done talking, you're going to know what type of a homeschooler I am. It'll be pretty obvious. Okay, the next one we'll talk about is Charlotte Mason, or real books. So what is Charlotte Mason? So it's an education, she says an education is an atmosphere, a discipline, a life. That's a quote directly from Charlotte Mason. Atmosphere means a cultivated home life. You know, what's your environment? What are you living in? Discipline is developing good habits and character. So you're being trained in good character. You're being trained to have good habits. Managing your time well, life skills. And life as academics are characterized by living books and ideas versus learning raw facts. So you're not memorizing the textbook for the test. It's not a rote memorization thing. When I hear living books, I think of things like historical novels or but definitely hands-on things that you can discuss and relate to, things that kind of, you know, draw you in, you can connect to it. How does it work? Let's see here. It says using living books to guide and teach subjects, which is very limited use of curriculum or textbooks. You're in nature a lot. You learn about composers, handicrafts, artist studies. You're building relationships with great authors, composers, thinkers, etc. So you're exposing yourself to the great thinkers, the artists. Why did they do what they did? How did they express themselves? Getting out in nature, discovering God's creation. How did he create it? How does it work together? All this, like if you do any symbiotic relationship study in nature, wow, it's like really amazing how things work together. The schedule is typically short lessons. I don't know if you've ever been a speaker, or your pastors have probably been warned out there that most people have an attention span of 20 minutes. Hence my videos are usually about 20 minutes long. So, you know, you want to get the message in there in a short message. So a short lesson, varied lessons. So you're not doing the same thing. It's not worksheet after worksheet. It's not even just listening to book after listening to book, because there's a variety in what you're doing. Lots of read alouds though, and individual reading. So reading is important on your own and together as a group. It is more relaxed, an emphasis on refreshed minds for each subject, and using home life as an important part of the atmosphere. So this is like when I'm talking life skills, what home life is like, the type of environment that you're creating in your home. It's very important to how your children are going to learn, that refreshed mind. You know, in other settings, a child could be stressed and they're not able to learn because of the stressful situation and environment they find themselves in. Well, in Charlotte Mason, you're creating this welcoming place where kids feel free to learn and ask questions. So for more information on Charlotte Mason, you can go to hslda.org/Charlotte. That's CHARLOTTE-Mason, MASON. They'll give you some more specific resources regarding Charlotte Mason. Next on the list is Montessori. So Montessori was developed by Dr. Maria Montessori. This is more child-directed, where Charlotte Mason would have been parent-directed. This is more child-directed. Prepared environments that promote learning. So a prepared environment would mean a supervisor, an adult, would prepare things in the environment, but not instruct the kids on how to interact with that stuff. So hands-on learning, they're incorporating home life as part of the learning. Mixed age collaborative approach. So it's not, okay, all the 6-year-olds here, all the 10-year-olds here, all the 13-year-olds here. Everyone's together and working together and using the gifts and abilities to work together to do some learning. So how does it work? Carefully prepared child-centered home design to promote learning. So carefully prepared. So there's some work there that the supervisor, parent, mom, dad is doing to set up the home so it's a place where children can always be learning. Hands-on learning alongside all ages. It says uses Montessori materials. So that's sensory items, real tools, books, etc. So there might be Montessori specific tools and supplies there that you would be looking to have in your home for this approach. What's the schedule like? It's gentle. It's relaxed. mixed with consistent and predictable routine. So kids do thrive on routine. So just being all kind of out there might be a little too, I don't want to say free, but it might be too out there. You know, we all thrive on boundaries, some sort of boundaries actually, believe it or not. I know in our brains we don't want to, but we actually do. So having child-led, and then they can go from this to that, but there is some sort of routine, you know, it's going to be like this throughout the week or something like that. There is a predictable routine. You're incorporating home life as an important part of the daily routine. Again, life is life. Like, it's not like learning and life is separate. Life is part of your learning. So it's all important. The laundry and the cleaning is as important as, you know, learning your math and all those types of things. Emphasizing including all ages in learning routines with children teaching each other. I think this is great because when you're a master at something, you can teach it to someone else. That's something that Steve Demme talks about in his math courses at Math UC. So if you can teach it back to me, I know you have it. You know, if you can teach it to your sibling who doesn't quite know it yet, I know you understand it. And that is a way to really get concepts and stuff cemented in your kids' minds, as if they are helping others. And it doesn't have to be like a bossy teach kind of a thing. Just let me help you do this. Or I know how to do the laundry. Let me show you how to do it. Or I know how to fold the towel. Let me show you how to do it. Or feed the rabbit or whatever. So it's just giving the children opportunities to be responsible and to share what they know with someone else who doesn't know what they know. So more information on Montessori, hslda.org/Montessori, and that's MONTESSORI. So there'd be good information there. So next one we're looking at, we have 2, 3, 4 more to look at. Say Waldorf is next. So what is that? It's created by Rudolf Steiner. Emphasis on spiritual and child as a whole person. So topics and skills taught on 7-year cycles to fit child development. And experience should be facilitated before the learning of concepts. So it's experience before learning concepts. Teaching must be creative and artistic. So this is getting the kids to use imagination and being creative. How does it work? Well, the main lessons guide other subjects, which are built off main lessons. So you have main lessons and your subjects kind of build off of that. It sounds like teacher introduces concepts through lots of stories and examples. Children learn by examples. They learn by your example. So learning by example is good. It's effective. Lots of hands-on learning, lots of art, handcrafts, and songs. Children really learn well with music. It just sinks in there. I mean, I know songs that I've learned when I was tiny, you know, and you just, it soaks in there. It soaks into your brain and it sticks with you forever. Mythology and storytelling is included in the Waldorf method. Being a good storyteller is quite the talent. Some people tell a really good story and some people can't, but it is very captivating when someone does. I don't know if any of you out there are familiar with Little Bear Wheeler. Little Bear Wheeler, great stuff, very good storyteller. There's a few other guys. Oh, I think there's someone named Jim, and I can't remember his name. There was a dog. Oh, I can't remember what it is, but if anyone can think of it and wants to comment below, go ahead and comment below. Storytelling is a very good way to captivate children and teach them to tell stories, because it's a good way to convey information to help people to understand. So what's the schedule like? There is a rhythm of days and seasons, which is an important anchor for their schedules in the Waldorf method. Seasons and holidays are celebrated and emphasized. So in the Waldorf method, they really go with our traditional holidays, it sounds like, or that you create the holidays that you want, and you're focusing on them in your education, and the seasons too. And many times Waldorf is combined with Montessori or Charlotte Mason approaches. It's kind of like this eclectic mix of them. So if you want more specifically on Waldorf, hslda.org/Waldorf, WALDORF. So let's move on to unit studies. Unit study incorporates several subjects together while exploring a specific topic or theme. So I've done a lot of unit study things. It's integrating a range of learning activities and materials. You're doing field trips, like if you're doing medieval banquets and with costumes, and you build models of castles and timelines. You can see what's going on. Science projects to books and curriculum. Instead of using books and curriculum, it's unified around a main theme. So I've done this type of thing with explorers and World War II and the Industrial Revolution. I've done a lot of stuff like this. It's great because you can really immerse yourself. There's a Little House on the Prairie one called the Prairie Primer, which is really amazing. Costuming, food, you can do banquets, everything is around this particular theme. You really dive into it and learn a whole bunch about that particular theme. It can be parent-led or child-directed or interest-led. There's lots of flexibility in the unit study style. So how does it work? It capitalizes on the kids' natural bent towards patterns and themes and interest-driven learning motivation. So if they're really interested in the topic, they really jump into it and go with it. It's adaptable to different learning preferences and challenges. So you don't have to do a particular thing. You can go with what works for your kids and who it is that you're if it's a co-op class, whoever's in your co-op class. Stretch curriculum dollars. Kids learn the same topics together. So it's like a group. Everyone can learn, but they're doing things at their level. Each child is assigned work to fit their age and ability. So a few years ago, the topics I was talking about, explorers, Industrial Revolution, and that stuff, I did that with all my kids. I had a 9th grade, a 7th grade, a 4th grade, and a 1st grade or kindergarten that year. And everybody listened. And the 9th grader did all the crafts and all the stuff and all the things, and it took hours to do some of the crafty things. And the 1st grader did 1 or 2 the entire time. So I really kind of did it for where they were at. And then there's lots of creative hands-on activities to making the learning more memorable. That's when you get the pockets and the lap books, the history pockets and all the things. You have all the little crafty things there. They're really beautiful when they're all done. You do have a lot of things you're like, you don't want to get rid of them, right? It's like, oh, look at all this work we've done. It's beautiful. So you can use it for a season, a semester, or a year, or just supplement a specific subject. So I've used it different ways too. I've used it just to supplement what we were doing, and I've also used it as my core history. So what I use Homeschool in the Woods. That's where I go get my unit study stuff, but there's tons of stuff out there. How does it work? It's easy to integrate into other educational approaches. I mean, you can just kind of add this or supplement it into any of those other styles. You can use the complete curriculum package based around a unit study. You can choose individual unit study curriculum or create your own. So there's a lot on Pinterest. If you guys are out there and love Pinterest, there's tons of stuff out there. The schedule is ideal for teaching multiple ages and levels simultaneously. It maximizes the parent's prep and instruction time. And many unit study curriculum passages rotate through specific subjects or topics or a specific historical timeline regularly, such as every 3 to 7 years. So that children usually get to interact with a topic first at an introductory level and then later as a deeper level. Now, I have never done unit studies for years and years and years on end. It's just like, hey, this year let's do unit studies. So that's what we did. So I've never revisited it with my kids. We were like, oh, we did that before. Let's do a different one. But one of the things I do like about what we use is it does do a timeline. Timelines are great for history and, I don't know, just understanding how everything fits together. So if you don't use timelines, think about that because that's really great. So at hslda.org/unit study, there is more information on how to do unit studies. So we have 2 more to cover here. Delight directed or unschooling. You may have heard this term. What is it? It's child-directed, it's interest-led learning. So what the kids are learning, they're choosing. It's life without school. There's not that textbooky, structured feel to it. You trust the children that they will be motivated to learn, that they will want to learn. How does it work? Typically, there's no curriculum. There's no tests. It supports the natural learning and facilitates learning of topics the child is interested in. So there's no set schedule for that. You have freedom to set any schedule that works for the child and family. for more information on that. I have not tried unschooling. I know a few moms who have, and they do lots of fun field trippy things and going out there and learning out and about. That's been my interaction with homeschoolers. Lots of museum learning and going out and experiencing what's out there. hslda.org/delight-directed gives more information on unschooling. And then the last is mixed or eclectic. It integrates many different educational philosophies and curriculum approaches. You have the freedom to choose your favorite parts of the different educational approaches. How does it work? You review the educational philosophies that I just talked about and the curriculum approaches, and you choose what works for you from each philosophy. You discard what doesn't. So the schedule, you have the freedom to set up your own schedule that fits your educational philosophy being followed for each subject. So you can probably guess that I'm an eclectic or mixed homeschooler. Like I said, I use classical for grammar, but I've used unit study. I like Charlotte Mason. When I started, I did box because, and I've started to move away from that a little bit, although I do still use the Sunlight History curriculum. So, hslda.org/eclectic. That's ECLECTIC. So that will give you more information on that. But I don't know. I like the eclectic. Once you get more comfortable with it, I definitely was not eclectic when I started because I was terrified. There was just so many options. But it's taken me, I'm on my 16th, 17th year or whatever now. And I'm finally now where I'm in a place where I can mix and pick and choose what I want. So mamas out there, if you're thinking about, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? And I have to know exactly what I want to do, and I have to know it now because I have to buy stuff, and don't stress about it. If it's your first year, or even if you've been in it for a while and you're like, oh, I just don't know. I mean, it's okay to start with one and do something else. It's okay to pick the box and be like, okay, this is good. We're getting our feet wet. We're getting familiar with the routine and how we want to run things in our home and all this kind of stuff. And then as you move along, as the kids grow, as you feel more comfortable, dip your feet into those other pools and see what they're like and see if you would like to try any of the other things out. So, and another thing that's good is, get to know homeschoolers around you and ask them what they do. There might be some people who help explain them better to you or help give you some resources that would help you try to understand how it is. Or maybe you can have them, talk with them a little bit and have them help you, what do you think would work good for our situation? Or, it's just conversation is a really helpful way to try and figure some of these things out. But like I said, this was all from HSLDA. It was a handy little booklet that he put together. They do have lots of help and support out there for homeschoolers, of course. And of course, we do on our website and our YouTube channel. And so don't hesitate to write in and ask us your questions. We're here for you, and we want to help you and support you on your homeschooling journey. So hopefully this helped you out as you're in the middle of summer now. It's the middle of July, which is totally crazy. But you have a little bit of time we're into the new school year. You can think about what you want to do, and don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to give up something that's not working. Just do it. Just try it. Just get out there. It's going to be good, and it's going to be okay, and your children will thrive, and so will you. So will you. So thanks for tuning in today. I hope you're having a great day, and I will be back next week. I'm going to be talking with Jack from Clark Summit University. We're going to talk about dual enrollment in college admissions. So if you have senior high students or know people that do, let them know we'll be on next Tuesday at 11. It will be at 11 because it's an interview. I promise I'll be on time next week. And we're going to talk about how to use dual enrollment and how to prepare for college. So thanks for tuning in today. I hope you have a great week and enjoy your coming weekend. Bye now.